Hello, this is Shannon from Awash with Wonder. It's been a while since I filmed one of these videos because it's been a while since I blogged consistently. But I was reading Amber from Mr. Thomas and Me blog the other day, and I saw that the topic for this month's Speak Up Link Up was restoration, and it kind of fit perfectly with my life, so I wanted to spend some time talking about it. So I have moved back to England. I say back because I used to live here when I was like 10 to 16, and now I'm 24 and I'm back and I'm trying the whole British thing again, and so far I'm really loving it. And the big difference between England and America is that obviously the British history is a little longer than the American history, and the architecture here is incredible because of that, because the buildings are just so old, and you walk down the street and you just feel kind of the history, or at least I do, and I just love these buildings. I stare at them all the time, I take pictures of them all the time, I go on walks just to look at them, and I just really enjoy that aspect of living here. And recently I went into London and I went to St. Paul's Cathedral, which is a really beautiful, really old cathedral, which is stunning in the way that most old churches and cathedrals are. Anyway, I walked inside and didn't pay to go in because it was very expensive. And there was a big sign that said how much it costs each year to keep the cathedral looking the way it does. Basically, how much it costs in restoration costs. And it was huge. The number was in the millions. And millions of pounds is a lot of money, obviously. And I was looking at that sign and I was thinking about all the other ways we could spend millions of pounds, like on people mostly, and it seems kind of insane to spend all this money on a building. But then at the same time, that building is our history. And it's such a beautiful reminder of where we came from. And I'm not religious in any way, but I love to go into cathedrals. I just love to see what we can make when we really care, especially because we've kind of moved away from that now. Especially like in Brighton, there's areas where the buildings are older and they're just so beautiful and they've been built in this particular style that just looks so great. And then there's other areas where things have obviously been put up a little bit more recently and they've just been slapped up in the cheapest and fastest way possible. And it looks terrible. And no one's going to appreciate that like 50 years from now. No one's going to walk down that street and be like, oh, wow, that's so amazing that these humans took this time to build this because it looks terrible. And I just think about all these old buildings and how it is kind of our duty to restore them and to care about them and to do the time and energy that it takes to keep them looking good because it's our history and it's beautiful. So then obviously, because this is how I think, I started thinking about people and about the restoration process we all have to kind of continually go through. So I've moved and I also went through a breakup, which really sucked, so let's not dwell on it. But so when those big changes happen, the impulse is to just burn it all down and start from the beginning, And some of my heroes are people that reinvent themselves. I love to hear stories of people that have had a million different careers, like if you were a chef and then a rodeo clown and then a whatever. I love to hear those stories. I love to hear about people who aren't afraid to become someone entirely new. But at the same time, our histories are important, and sometimes, even though it's difficult, we have to go through the process of restoring things after they've been broken. And I'm reminded of that kind of constantly here because my accent is weird. So I have the conversation with people 3 or 4 times a day where they're like, where are you from? And I have to say, well, I was born in South Africa, and then I moved to England, and then I moved to America, and that's why my voice sounds like this, and then I moved to Germany, and now I'm back in England. And to go through that whole history of my life so many times a day is kind of annoying, and it's sometimes I'm like, maybe I should just say that I'm from America, but that doesn't really feel authentic to me because I don't have an American passport, and all the time that I spent there, I was basically a foreigner as well. So I don't really have that allegiance. And it's kind of nice to talk about my history, to say this is where I've come from, and I've come back and forth, and I keep going to the same places again. And it's kind of nice to look at how my life has progressed. And it makes me think about holding on to those things that make my life my own. And now, in being in a new place and starting a new life by myself, it really makes me think a lot about what parts of myself I need to restore. So when you go through a breakup, it can be really easy to just think, well, I'm just never going to love anyone ever again because this feeling freaking sucks. But that's not a really great way to go through life. So I kind of have to do the work of restoring my heart and being like, this is how I'm going to go forward, and these parts are still lovable about me, even if that particular person isn't loving them, and to do the kind of hard work and takes a lot of time and attention and a little bit of pain to kind of keep those parts of you that have been hurt in the past. But I think that if we can spend millions of pounds to keep a church looking beautiful, we can kind of give that same attention to ourselves and the way that we feel inside and all of those good things. So I am currently in the process of restoration, and it's harder than the word sounds. Like, the word sounds like it's going to be really relaxing and you're kind of just going to be chilling out somewhere, just like getting back into the swing of things. But I have to balance reinvention with restoration, and it's a little bit of hard work, but it's also going to result in something beautiful if the buildings here are anything to go by. So that's all I have to say on restoration. I'm really glad to be back to vlogging and hopefully blogging a little bit more. So thanks so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon.